All right, hello everyone. I'm still experimenting with my stream setup for this painting thing because I'm trying to figure out the best way to set it up. And I think this is like a better setup maybe than last time. Just move this closer so I can see it better. Yeah, so I worked on this painting a little bit since I last streamed. And I've painted the bottom here brown, like a light brownish color. I didn't like what was going on with the black. There was a black stripe, black stripe here. There's like too much going on. Also, I repainted all this up here white again. It's not quite white, it's like cream color. Because, well, the gray was not like the final color. I just wanted to see what it would look like. Also, I like to have like different layers of different color build up on top of each other because it kind of makes it more interesting to look at than if I were to just paint it, just have it the color that it was, and that's it. Also, I'm not crazy about these little dots right here. I'm thinking that's starting to look like decorative, so I think I'm going to paint over those. I'm going to try to give the ball a little bit of geometry, like a little, maybe make it a little bit, just feel more round, because right now it's looking very solid black. I've already cleaned up these circles right here, which I feel look more precise. I want them to look precise, not kind of like I just dabbed in circles, you know what I mean? And I don't like to use like tape and stuff anymore, really, so I try to avoid going crazy with that. I got a jar of candy. The stream setup is still a little bit weird because I'm like breaking the 180-degree rule, which is you're seeing the painting from one angle, and then the face cam is like from like the exact opposite angle. So I'm painting in this direction. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters that much. Anyways, I'm going to try to make these stripes here more precise too, so I'm going to maybe start with that. And I think you can sort of see my palette now, which is nice. If I move the candy jar. The candies, I got Jelly Bellies and these kind of like weird old style ones that are like sprinkled chocolate. There's some black liqueur from there. This is actually really hard to do without tape, so I might have to do the stripes with tape, but just try to do it with my fingers for now, with a paintbrush. One Eric, you can ask away and I'll try to answer, I guess. As someone with an art degree, how necessary do you say formal education has been to you developing your awesome style? So, I obviously don't think everyone needs to go to art school and stuff, but I feel like if you're serious about becoming an artist, you should try to go. And unless it's like going to put you in like a major amount of debt, just because I definitely learned a lot about how to like think about what I'm doing, like why I'm doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? What is like how to like stuff like. It's been a while since I went to art school, but I feel like it kind of forced me to think more about what exactly I'm trying to say, you know. And I think a lot of people out of high school, you know, if you're just taking art class or whatever, you're just doing it for, you know, because you like art or whatever. It's not necessarily because you're thinking about art as a like visual language or you know. And so I'm also not saying that people who don't go to art school can't do that. It's just that, you know, for me, I feel like it was important to develop that part of my understanding of art. So I think it's pretty important actually to immerse yourself in the opinions and ideas of others in the art world, even if you don't agree with it, just so that you have an understanding of because that's the only way you're really going to be able to understand what you really believe in when it comes to art, you know. Unless you have an understanding of what's going on out there, you know. And I mean, I feel like most contemporary art these days is like bullshit, basically. But it's just important that you like kind of like understand why they're bullshit, you know, or maybe you don't think they're bullshit, but it's just like at least you. This is kind of like knowledge that unless you seek it out, it's not going to just come to you. Like there's no algorithm that's going to feed you how to, you know, like what. I don't know. It's just I'm kind of like I smoked a bit, so I'm not really thinking straight right now. But I think you kind of get the idea of where I'm coming from. Turtle Power, yeah. So when safe mode is finished, it's going to be basically a feature film too. So episode 8 is going to come out on Friday, and then I'm going to work on episode 9 and maybe 10. 9 and 10 might be. I might just make it a finale, but we'll see. I'm not, because I'm kind of, I feel like I'm getting towards the end of the story. I kind of figured out what I want to say with it, and I wanted safe mode to be around 90 minutes rather than like a 2-hour movie like Interface was, and I think I'm getting to that time. But before it concludes, there's some things I want to do, just animation-wise. I want like a big action scene, and there was like a short one kind of like in the bar there, but I feel like I can kind of go all out. There's something that I want to do. Hopefully, like, you know, it's been a while since the last episode came out. Hopefully people aren't too like disappointed that it's not quite as long as other episodes. It's only, I think it's like 8 minutes, so. But I gotta stop being so hard on myself when it comes to that, because when I was doing Interface, some episodes would only be like 4 minutes long, or sometimes 2 or 3, and longer doesn't necessarily mean better, you know. One Eric Nomad, are you a NASCAD student right now, or? Luigi of Destruction, thank you for the super chat. I enjoy your art and I send you many hugs from Mexico. I appreciate that. Thank you, Luigi. And Monsters Jungle, thank you for that. Hello, Hammy. Let me see here. Shouts from Halifax. Okay, sweet. No, but I wanted to go for years. I'm in Halifax, so it was cool to hear your local talent. So when I went to Halifax, NASCAD, it was reasonably affordable. I saved up some money during high school. Like I worked, during high school, I didn't like fucking party or anything. Like I was like, I had like 5 jobs basically. And after school, I'd like go work as a dishwasher and shit. But basically, I think like by the end of first year, no, I basically had my tuition for like the 4-year program like in a bank account. And it was like $25,000 Canadian back then, because it was like, I think it was like $4,000 per semester plus like extra expenses and stuff. And so the only thing I really had to worry about was like my rent and food and stuff. So when I was going to NASCAD, I was still working though. But I had like, I think in the first year, I had like I was working on a parking booth that was right next to the school. And then the second year I applied for a job in the film cage that's at the film department. And because I was like the first one to apply, like I did it like the first day basically, I got the job, so. Yeah, and so I don't know what the tuition is like now. So it's like hard to like make a recommendation. Yeah, you should go to art school, you know, tuition's like $80,000. Because, you know, honestly, you go to art school, you're not going to make a lot of money afterwards. So you have to really understand what you're getting yourself into. So if you went into the film program, like I did, your best case scenario is you would end up working for like IATSE or something, which is the film union at the bottom, like starting from zero. And you actually don't really have much of an advantage over people who didn't go to art school and went to like the NSCC tech program for the same thing. So, you know, it's really only go to art school if you want to learn and improve your craft as an artist, but don't really do it to get a job out of it, because you're not going to get a job out of it. Like I didn't get a job out of it. I guess I got a job editing videos when I graduated, but it was like for a porn company. Like it wasn't like high esteemed stuff, you know what I mean? And so if you go, you're gonna think about art and learn about it, and then you have to put what you learned to use, which is actually make stuff as an artist. And you know, you don't have to go to school to actually make stuff too. You could just start making stuff like now if you're, you know, an aspiring artist, whatever. Well, you should be. I mean, realistically, you're not an aspiring artist if you don't even make anything. You'd have to make stuff. So just make as much stuff as possible. And if you want to try it out, maybe you can take some summer courses at NASCAD. So you just get a feel of what it's like. Because I think they got like programs there that are non-degree programs, and but like you can still take a class like in the summer. That way, it's like less commitment. You know what I mean? Because really, though, the only thing you get out of like doing it all the way is with 4-year program is you get a degree, which I already explained is basically meaningless. I don't think like art galleries are going to be like rejecting you if you hadn't gone to art school. You know what I mean? But you have to do the extremely hard part first, which is actually managing to be able to sell your art in like a scale where a gallery would want to represent you. You know what I mean? So it's the hard part's not getting the degree, is what I'm saying. So And you don't have to go to art school to do the hard part. Yeah, one Eric, well, I mean, that's the thing. You gotta, if you really want to do it, you gotta have a portfolio, and that's, you know, just keep working on it, really. But I think when you take like those courses during the summer, I don't think they're like as stringent about like you having a portfolio. I think it's kind of like they just kind of like accept anyone. I think that's like creatively minded, but willing to learn. I think that's how it works. I'm not really sure. You should look into it though. Okay. Yogi Hoop I am. I still go to the gym about 4 times a week. I don't go, I used to go like 5 times a week, but I think it's just a little excessive. You just kind of end up feeling sore all the time and you don't have any energy. And you have to like heal in order to grow muscle. I mean, you don't grow muscle in the gym. You grow it by sleeping properly. So I need to change some music on this thing now. Do you stretch your own canvas and or gesso? No, I don't do that because it'd just be frustrating. I don't really have enough space to do it, and I don't really see the advantage of doing it, honestly. I just buy the stored canvases. But here's another thing. I don't really buy canvases either. I buy panels. So it's basically birch wood. And it's just, it would just, you know, I don't have the resources to be doing cutting wood and stuff, so. I did stretch my own canvas once in NASCAD, but they would also like make them there and sell them in the art store. So I would just like buy high quality canvases there. There's a company here in Montreal that makes and stretches like really high quality canvases for like professional artists that are like in galleries and stuff. But I don't think it matters that much. You can paint on a piece of cardboard and it will still sell. And I mean, that's what Edvard Munch did. The screen paintings are like painted on cardboard, basically. I don't think you should be painting on cardboard, but it really doesn't matter what you paint on, as long as it's like relatively decent quality. I had some they'd like teach you stuff in NASCAD, like, oh, you had to stretch your own canvases and do your own gesso, like you're not an authentic artist. You have to mix your own pigments and mix your own, it was kind of like a bunch of baloney. Like, I'm not gonna. It's just adding work to your life. They added like some teachers that would like. I think they were like actually liked the process of preparing to paint more than actually painting. So they would like make you like the whole thing about mixing gesso and making the right consistency, just so it's super thick and stuff. Is just go to the store and buy gesso and just use that. it's yeah. I mean, like I don't know why people try to create paintings like from scratch basically, because you know another thing is like pretty much any artist in the past 20th century used like store-bought paints. Like some of them did mix their own paints, obviously. I think Andrew Wyeth made his own paints with like egg tempera, if I'm remembering correctly. But like Jackson Pollock used house paint like for the walls. So, and you know, there's like Banksy now, whatever, and he's like basically, it's graffiti, and he paints on buildings that he doesn't even own, and yet his work is like worth a lot of money and stuff. So, don't like get hung up on your materials that much, really. I would say though that if you're gonna get serious about painting, is to consider buying higher quality paints rather than student grade stuff, because it just like looks way better, you know. It's like stronger, and it is more expensive though. Some of these tubes of paints I have are like tiny and they're like $30 each, but that's kind of just how it is with high quality stuff. You can like, I don't know, you can get like Prussian blue, like a tube of Prussian blue though, and that's like high quality synthetic paint that is like cheap, I think. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's a cheap one though. You don't need like the $30 like bright lime green or something like I have, you know, or it's just, if you manage to sell your work and stuff, then you can start kind of like splurging a little bit on that kind of stuff. But, you know, in any given painting I do, sometimes it's got about like $400 worth of paint in it, maybe, or around that. And sometimes I only sell them for like $700, $600. So I'm not really making that much money off these paintings, especially when you consider how much time I put into them. But I just don't have the space. I want to get them out. You know, people's budgets can't really allot for more. So. I wanted a degree, Amy says, I wanted a degree in order to find entry-level professional positions, but unless you're exceptionally prolific, it's kind of like rolling a boulder uphill to be hired these days. It's kind of like that for any position in any job right now. It's just kind of like the job market is just being thrown around like crazy these days with AI and just other things affecting the job market. Yeah, I don't know what people are doing these days to make money, but it's tough. Yogi, who artists tend to be outliers of society. Do you have any quirky characteristics that may put you there? Yeah, definitely, 100%. I'm really kind of, I don't know if I come across as normal in my streams or whatever, but I'm actually kind of weird in real life. Oh. I just have a hard time talking to people sometimes, or I get like, I don't know what it is. I probably like talking to Caroline about this. Like, I need to go get diagnosed to see if there's like, I might got like Asperger's or something something on the spectrum or something. I always kind of thought that I might be. I think I put that circle in the wrong spot. 1, 2. I think it's just a little bit too far to the left. Yeah. What are your thoughts on artists who use blood or even animal blood for their paintings? I think it's kind of lame. I mean, well, like, why really? Because it's creepy or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of like a gimmick in my opinion. It just doesn't. I don't know. I don't think it's necessary to be painting with blood. Like, what does it add to your painting realistically? So that you can tell people, oh, I painted with blood. Did you know? That makes the painting creepy. You know, it's not going to make the painting creepy. It's going to make the painting kind of maybe smell a little bit. But it's not like, I don't really care really. I mean, it's like if someone said their painting is made with blood and it's a good painting, I'm like, whatever, that's cool. I think I screwed up there. Yeah, I do like dots. I like putting dots on my paintings. I don't know why. I like putting little stripes too. They're kind of like little graphical glitches, I guess. I don't really know what that is. Is there any artistic value doing stuff a different way? What do you mean, like experimenting with different stuff? Sure, I think so. But like, unless it's like adding to what you're doing, like trying to say with your painting, like is there a reason why you're experimenting with all the different weird pigments, like blood? Because if you're just doing it because, like, just because, then, you know, what? It's not really adding to your painting, you know what I mean? Oh. Okay. Oh, Yogi, what's up? You went to art school too, eh? Probably about your age, miss guys like you. Yeah, man, I miss hanging out with artists too. And right now I'm painting in my extra rooms in the apartment, which I'm very fortunate to have, but it'd be nice to kind of have a studio sometimes, maybe. But then also, then you get the studio thing with, like with other artists. You have to listen to like their music and shit. And I don't know if that's what I want to do either. So I think I'm trying to make more artist friends, you know. But it's like even like the people I went to SNASCO with, like a lot of them just. They don't do art anymore, you know what I mean? So, I feel like I'm making artist friends, but like on Twitter of all places. And Instagram, I guess. But, Not in the city, really. Here's another thing. I kind of have to like your art too, you know. Okay. Okay, I'm making, I gotta paint some of the limbs or whatever. You know, I'm not really making big sweeping changes with my painting right anymore. I'm just doing a lot of detail work, I guess, so it may not really look like much is changing from that angle back there. But there is a lot of changes happening, you just can't really see them. Nina Dunwoody, how do I break into storytelling? Well, painting is kind of a difficult one to get into storytelling. I mean, you can tell stories with your paintings, but it's not like making an animation or something. I don't know, I guess like you kind of have to ask yourself what you're interested in doing. Like, what is your medium? Is it just painting, or is it, or do you have other ideas in mind? Bruno, do you intentionally add esoteric knowledge in your stuff? I mean, yeah, that's like, I feel like I'm doing that intentionally. It's safe mode is all about like what it means to be living in a simulation versus real life, or so there's going to be a weird esoteric knowledge kind of just by default, you know. It's a lot of the things I say though, or I write in my episodes, they're kind of more like, I don't know if they're written by logic or if it's more kind of written by like mood or feel, you know? And so it probably does sound like esoteric because maybe like the wording is just more poetic than if I was just literally saying like, if I was just like literally explaining things. Like I feel like Safe Mode and The Matrix are kind of like similar in terms of what they are or whatever, but in The Matrix there would be like whole scenes where they would just like explain to you how everything worked. And that's cool. I actually love The Matrix, but if you try to like do the same thing, but in a way where they don't explain how everything works, but you pick it up through like just the atmosphere or the mood, or you pick it up through like what characters say in a weird thing or what they don't say, you know, then there's a lot more like space for intuitive people to kind of connect dots on their own rather than just being told how the world works. And so maybe the film feels more like the world feels like even more expansive because your imagination is kind of like left to connect more dots, you know. I feel like movies a lot of time they just over-explain things. And I don't think like in The Matrix that they over-explained things, but because that's kind of like one of the reasons why I like that movie is because they a lot of it makes sense. So when they do explain things, it's kind of like cool, you know. You're like, oh, that makes sense because it's working here and there and there, you know. The one thing that they changed about that movie, I guess, from the original like outline of it was that it was supposed to be that the humans were not batteries, but I think they were like. What were they supposed to be? They were supposed to be like powering the Matrix through their brains, kind of like using their processing power as a computer, which makes like way more sense in my mind. And I don't know why they just, and it makes, when you think of it, the Matrix that way, like a lot of the film kind of like makes more sense. But because like, why would the machines, like, if they needed batteries so badly, wouldn't it make more sense for them to just like build a fusion reactor than like plugging humans into a, like, I don't think the human, like the energy that comes out of a human just existing is that high versus like building like 100 fusion reactors. Like, you could probably do that if you were the machines in that movie. Anyway, thoughts on conspiracy-crazed people? Is there merit in questioning everything? No, there's definitely merit. Here's the thing, like, you have to be able to have people that are conspiracy theorists, because they're just at one end of an extreme of something that's necessary, which is to question things. You know, so you have people who question things and are reasonable, and then you have the crazy ones that think the earth is flat or something, you know? Like, we definitely need those people that question things, because otherwise we would just be taken advantage of all the time. And unfortunately, we still have people who question things, and yet the government will just take advantage of us anyway. But anyway, so I'm on the conspiracy theorist side, you know. I don't think they should say stuff like, I don't know what this whole Sandy Hook thing with Alex Jones, I don't know, it's kind of weird, because it's like, what is the advantage of saying that that's a conspiracy, you know? Is there, what is the advantage of, but, and unfortunately, a lot of the conspiracy theories are kind of like true. Like, if you were, like, the CIA had certain programs where they could remotely access your television and listen to what you're hearing, like smart TVs, by just like kind of parking outside your house. Or the fact that like printers, they print a little bit of a yellow code on your paper, so that if you committed a hate crime on paper and you sent it to someone or whatever, I don't know, they could like track it back to you. Which is not a conspiracy, that's a real thing. And yeah, you're right. Actually, you're right. The point wasn't to make a nuclear reactor for the machines. It's to use them. It's just the fact that you're being used by a machine at all is kind of like a metaphor, right? It doesn't really matter what the humans were used for, I don't think. How did you like Scavenger's Reign? I didn't actually watch it, so I just saw the trailer. It looked cool, but I can't comment on the story because I didn't watch it. our interface and safe mode multimedia. Oh yeah, so some of the shots are done in 3D software. I used Cinema 4D and Autodesk Arnold as a renderer for that, and I used the cell shading and the toon shader, so it looks like hand-drawn. And I also spent a lot of time when I make the models of rooms and stuff to make it look like it was hand-drawn. It wasn't exactly easy, which is why I stopped that whole thing doing 3D, because it was just taking too long to do simple things, and it wasn't fun. So I'm actually smoking a joint. It looks like a cigarette because I've rolled them with a pencil, and they get like really compacted. I'm gonna raise this thing up so I'm not hunching over looking at it. The dead tree branches look like blood veins. Yeah, so this is a tree. This blue section was a photograph of a tree I took. And so the lines are going precisely where the tree did. And I feel like that's important, because if I were to just kind of make up this myself, the design of the tree, I feel like it wouldn't look right. It wouldn't look like it wouldn't look like a tree. It would look like some random lines. Do you like DM? I don't know what DM is. Yogi Hoop? I thought about it, but we're not sure yet. It's, yeah. Do you sometimes get surprised sometimes on what came out of your head on these animations? Did you ever feel like you learned something non-technical from the process? I feel like the animations are kind of like my way of processing my own thoughts that I'm having, just in general. And so sometimes the story kind of takes a turn to like just something I've been thinking about, not necessarily something where the story should be going. So this is acrylic on panel. That's usually what I prefer to use, is panels, just so that they're like, I don't have to worry about this canvas getting stabbed or stretched out, you know, by something leaning on it. And acrylics, because I just like how they dry quickly and you can kind of go over them with like a kind of a texture real, you know. With oils it takes a lot longer. You can get like extenders or shorteners, whatever you call them, but I just like the acrylics. And the high quality acrylics, you know, like they don't look plastic or anything. They look like just vibrant. And yeah, I think you might be able to, I don't really paint with oils, so I don't have much experience to talk about that. I've done some oil paintings though on my. They're usually on my. It'll like say the medium I have on my painting on my website. My favorite music depends on the month, but I think I might have put a playlist in the description. I can't really go through them all though, there's too much. Have you ever tried coal? For painting, like charcoal? Yeah, in art school, but I don't really do that anymore. Biggest hear me out? I don't know, man. It's something too hard to think about. I wouldn't even know just where to begin. I don't have anything off my top of my mind. It is a spider. It's supposed to, I mean, the painting is, it's supposed to be like a spider tree or something. The thing is like you look at it, you're supposed to be like, is that a tree or is that a spider? Or is that like a fuck up cobweb thing I'd find underneath my couch, basically? That's kind of what I'm going for. This part though is definitely spider looking. Who's more toxic, artists or musicians? Oh man. I mean, musicians are technically artists, right? Or that's what they call themselves, artists. I think probably about equally. I think there's toxic people in every field, every industry. God damn it. But there's, maybe just you hear about it more because it's like, I mean, you're not going to hear about it from like Phil from the construction company down in Newport or something, you know? You're going to hear about the person everyone knows about, which is an artist on TV, I guess. Okay, what am I doing here? Do I find reason to paint? I don't know what you mean there. But like, I just do it because I like painting. It's like my favorite medium of art. Like when I go to museums, I always go to the painting section. Yeah, this painting was partially planned. So basically the first part was the trees that I wanted to paint. And then I noticed when I painted it, it looked like a spider. So I was like, I'm going to make it look like a spider too, you know? So that was unplanned. I got to get some more water. Munching? Back. So there was another thing I wanted to change about the painting. Which was the bottom here. I think I want it to be darker. You have to think about it though. I think yeah, I think this is going to be really dark blue-brown, like, so I'm going to mix a new color. I think the painting will look better if this part was dark. think. I'll try using this brush. Try, because I don't really like how brush paints. Hey, thank you, Teljukuno. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna paint in the rest of this. I do like how this looks better though, looks with the dark. That looks much cooler, in my opinion. I wonder if I should make this section. I don't like how the pink there got gloopified. I don't really know what technique I use, just kind of whatever my own technique is, I guess. But when I paint over stuff, I don't like to completely cover it. I like to see some of the stuff underneath. Okay, what was I doing? I was going to do something and I forget what it was. Oh, right. Legger art, thank you. The odd Thomas, thanks. Sea Lover, yeah. So, I mean, Mischief shows up at the end of the last episode of, I think, episode 7. And he will be back in episode 8 for a little sequence. This painting is starting to look more like something I painted. If that makes any sense at all. Seal lover, thank you, that. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream soon. I'm just kind of looking at it. I feel like there's some stuff I need to do still, actually. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here because if I keep going, I'm gonna ruin it probably. And I'm kind of liking the way things are looking now, so I don't know how much further I want to go. I'm gonna wait until it dries, give it a couple days, and look at it later. All right, everyone. Thank you for hanging out with me today. That's a live stream, and maybe I'll see you again soon. Alrighty, good night, and have a good week.